All right, let's talk about the ick. Now, like a lot of you, I'm sure what drew you in the first place was the banging 2000s pop punk soundtrack that was featured across the trailer. But surprisingly, there is an emotional, heartfelt performance from leading man Brandon Routh. There are great send-up of popular 2000s creature features like Slither and Eight-Legged Freaks. And in a year where we've had some crazy good horror films come out, but they require a big investment into it to get the full immersion, it is nice to just sit back in some PG-13 horror, get some great laughs, some great special effects, and really have nothing but a fun time with it. Folks, tonight in movie reviews, we're talking ick. Stay tuned. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. I appreciate you tuning in. Again, tonight in movie reviews, we are discussing Ick. Now, you can hit my channel right now and check out my interview with co-writer Sam Lasky. We get to talking about how one of Nickelback's greatest hits at one point drove the story of the leading character of the film. We talk about how everybody at one point in their lives has one of those great romantic moments sent to the Plain White T's Hey There Delilah. And we get to talking about how George Romero played such a big influence in the surrounding lore of Ick. You do not want to miss this, folks. Go and check that out right now. Hit that subscribe and follow button because I got a lot of great content coming up for all of you as well, too. But I don't want to waste any more time. Let's jump right on into things here. If you haven't seen the trailer for Ick before, this focuses on one-time high school football prospect turned science teacher, Hank. After reconnecting with his ex-girlfriend Stacy and buying a local bar, he realizes that one of his students might be his own daughter. Unfortunately for Hank, while dealing with all of this, he also has to deal with an alien organism known as the Ick that's not just taken over his hometown, but the entire United States. And there it is, folks. That is Ick. Now, I mentioned again that this film has a crazy good 2000s pop punk soundtrack. If you have not seen the trailers, you are truly missing out. I know a lot of you grew up at the same time that I did, so while yeah, I'm a 90s kid, music-wise, I relate so much to the early to mid 2000s just pop punk bangers that we had coming out all around that time. Now, of course, we got some bands that wouldn't fall into that there, but as a whole, it kind of seems like everybody just went into one mold there, right? You know, your Blink 182, your Plain White Tees, your Paramours, your Yellow Cards, your Dashboard Confessional, Secondhand Serenade. So many bands out there that just fall into growing up. And I know every generation gets that, but we obviously had the best. We are still jamming out to so much of that and getting so many nostalgia concerts these days. But what really caught me off guard was the fact that they chose to use the song Swing Swing by the All American Rejects in order to actually like make the trailer work. A lot of times when you use the All American Rejects in your movies, whether it's a trailer or not, we're hearing Move Along or Dirty Little Secret. So it's kind of crazy to get that debut single from the All American Rejects being used in such big part of the marketing here for this film. I love it because I do remember when Swing Swing came out. I remember always watching TRL and hoping it would make that top 10 countdown. It typically did. This absolutely set the stage here and set the mood for what I wanted for this film, and it very much kept a smile on my face throughout it. Now, story-wise, we are focused on a high school quarterback who's not even the typical jock in this case. Like, Hank is a really good guy. Like, he loves playing football, he loves his girlfriend, he got these big dreams, but he's also very kind and caring to the people around him. You know, we see him trying to look out for fellow classmate Ted Kim. This ultimately ends up biting Hank in the butt, though, as while he tries to show Ted a little love by having his girlfriend dance with him at prom, this ends with the two of them getting together, which fast forwards us a couple decades. They're married now, they're running the big business in Hank's hometown, and they apparently have a daughter who might actually be Hank's. Now again, all this is going on while this alien organism known as the Ick shows up during Hank's high school days, but it doesn't seem to be all that malevolent. It does play a role in Hank's injury that takes away his football dreams, but outside of that, we don't see it doing all that much outside of being an invasive species, kind of like weeds in your yard. Again, we fast forward 2 decades later, and as things seem to be getting worse or at least a little bit more interesting for Hank in his life, realizing that, well, he might have a daughter, the love of his life is showing back up, he's going to buy the local bar, he's really stuck in this town. This is when the ick kind of works as the catalyst to start pushing people forward, to start talking about the things that they actually want and actually taking some action and getting the things they want in their life as well too. Because the way we see Hank in this film, you know, for being the high school quarterback, being this jock, he kind of comes off as timid, as the guy who's not really going to push for what he wants ultimately and what's good for him. He's going to let people kind of walk all over him. Makes Hank such an easy guy to really get behind. And Brandon Routh's performance in this truly shows that this guy should have been a leading man for years in Hollywood. You know, it seems fitting that we're only weeks out of the premiere of the latest Superman film, and at one time that was going to be the next big step for Brandon Routh in his career, and it just didn't do it the way that it should have. And this guy is such a great actor. Hank is very earnest. He very much wears his heart on his sleeves. He's trying to be the cool guy, but he's not trying to do it just to be cool. He's trying to do it because he really wants to relate to the people around him, and he's having issues building these relationships with all these folks who inhabit this town. I love it. Ralph is great in it. One of the best parts here of this movie. Now, as for the ick, obviously that's going to be comparable to something like the Blob that we've seen in those previous two films. Again, it's very benevolent at the early onsets of it showing up outside of Hank's injury. And again, it's very intrusive. It shows up over a lot of the homes, the school, the fields, the roads, whatever throughout this town, but it's not doing anything. Suddenly, it's just like a switch got flipped, and it starts to become crazy evil and going around eating and killing the people of this town. There's not really a clear goal here from it, but you don't need that ultimately. You can just go with the idea that the ick is trying to take over the earth. And in a way, it kind of reminded me from that one story from Creepshow. You know, the one with Stephen King, where the meteor crash lands the earth and it starts growing like the moss all over Stephen King's character, Jordy? Was it? Whatever it was. And then like his ensuing shack that he lives in as well too. And then it starts taking over the world. Like, it seems very much that that's kind of like what the ick is, though it's a bit more sentient. You know, we see it actually able to like form like specific kind of shapes, and it's able to figure out how to get into areas to kill and capture people as well. And then not in every situation is it actually killing the people that it's taking. We do see that the ick has the ability to turn certain people in the town into zombies, so to speak, which adds a lot more humor to it as well. I love the depictions of it. This is very clearly where the budget like went to, because we can see that all in the animation of the ick itself. I think when we get the practical effects that we have in the film, those look phenomenal as well too. So it's a great combination of CG and practical here in this. It works great for those who are a little bit hard on one side or the other. Now, Sam Lasky and Dan Kuntz co-wrote this script with Joseph Kahn, and Lasky had mentioned in our interview that when they were writing the townspeople and how they were dealing, how they were responding to the ick kind of taking over their town, that most of them like should really be like aggressive and fighting back and scared about it. But that Joseph Kahn had said that no, like they have to not care. They have to be ambivalent about it. Like they really are just going to go on with their everyday lives, trying to keep things going the way that they know, and having a bit of a disagreement about how that's not realistic. But then you see it in the film, and you see how these town peoples kind of try to throw it back onto the government, that the government in the film kind of is looking out for their best interest in telling them if they keep doing the things that they're doing, they're going to end up dead, they're going to end up hurt. And the fact that the townspeople are labeling it as hoax and asking when they can get back to just doing all their normal stuff like prom. Coming out of COVID years later, you see how real to life that honestly is. And even though, yes, there is a lot of humor presented in those scenes and watching the people interact with the ick over the course of the film, you can't help to feel a bit of a tingle at the back of your spine, realizing that you, or at the very least you knew somebody who was acting like this just a few years ago, when we're under all this scrutiny and under all these restrictive conditions with this virus that's going around the world. It's hard not to lock in on that and feel a bit of terror for it. And I think that's phenomenal that this behind the scenes team was very much able to tap in to something that we all just experienced not too long ago and really make that the honest terror here of what's happening. because the Ick itself is not necessarily a scary film. It's very much a fun one. The action, the humor, all of it there comes together in a nice, neat little package. But I don't think it's really there to like scare a lot of us walking into it. But yet and still, these scenes with the town people and the way that they interact with it, the way that they just don't really care all that much, that very much scared me watching this film. I think that again, when we've had a year dominated by a lot of films that are standing very much between the 4.5 and those 5-star rankings, that you honestly need one really good film that's in that mid-range there, that 3 and 3.5 star film that's gonna actually stand up against all these other juggernauts that we've seen coming out. And I do think Ick is kind of that total package that we need to really do that. I did find it interesting that one of the only issues I had with the film was the runtime. It clocks in at 92 minutes, so we get to spend an hour and a half with these characters, and I love the time that we get, but it does feel like another 15 minutes would have really sealed that deal in. And that's hard because this is such a pop culture driven film that you really want it to be snappy. You want it to move really quick. You know, Joseph Kahn is one of the best music video directors of all time. And going off that kind of directing, of course, you want to have those fast shots. You need to move from scene to scene to scene. You need to get the story told out there in a short amount of time. And I see that. I think the editing is well done here on this film. But man, I was having such a good time just immersed in this world. I could have done with just a little bit more time dedicated to either the prologue or watching Hank and Stacy's childhood, to the Ick itself, maybe more scenes of following them around, creating zombies, creating more monsters, you know, wherever the case is with that, or just spending more time with the government who steps in to try to tell the townspeople, like, look, your lives are in danger. It just feels that any of those three areas, give it a little bit more time, and we have a complete package. I think it is phenomenal and such a ball of fun compared to the serious nature and tone of so many horror films that we've seen this summer and just in this year in general. It is much needed here. Folks, it only had a 3-day Fathom Events run in theaters, so you can imagine this is going to end up on digital here sooner than later. You definitely are going to want to check this one out. And as we are slowly inching towards Halloween season, you know, it's just about August at this point when I'm recording it here, this is going to do wonders in September and October on the digital scene for the younger crowd that's looking for a good movie to kind of set the stage for a lot of the more scarier stuff they're watching here. So ultimately, Ick is going to get a 3.5 out of 5 from me. Ick very much stands up with a lot of these other heavyweights that we have seen all year. But with that being said, y'all, I want to hear what you thought of this one. If you got a chance to go and check this one out, tell me, who is your favorite 2000s pop punk band? What is that one banger that you remember? Are you going back and listening to some Sum 41? Are you a Queen of the Stone Age person? I want to hear that in the comment section. Lay it all on me there. And of course, get subscribed to my channel. The best way to do that is to go to my link tree at linktr.ee/T-Scary-Movie. If you get subscribed, that's going to give you access to the YouTube page for the video versions of the show, your favorite podcasting platforms for the audio-only versions of the show, my Letterboxd page for written reviews and movie rankings throughout the year, my TikTok page for short horror content including movie news, movie reviews, movie premieres, my Twitch page for horror gaming, and my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy a 20% discount off anything in the Fangoria shop. Take advantage of that, y'all. Hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button. We got a lot of great stuff coming up. Next week will be the first week of August, so we are headed back to the crypt again. We are looking at a couple of the best episodes of the show in Death of Some Salesmen and House of Horror. We're going to be talking about that crazy third act of I Know What You Did Last Summer very soon as well, too. We're going to be talking Together, The Toxic Avenger, the first season of Alien Earth, and of course, more Dexter Resurrection. I don't want y'all to miss out on any of that, so hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, no matter where you're watching or listening. But that is going to do it for me tonight. I appreciate you all tuning in. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.